Okay, again I'll start with the little clarification. Uh, Often people use these two terms, concepts and knowledge, as if they mean the same thing. Actually, in theory of knowledge, they mean two very, very different things, and we should be careful about them. Concept is basically uh, a human capability to classify experiences. This could be one definition of concepts. That is, if I see this pen and I see another kind of this thing, a similar thing, then I put them together under the category of pen. So, concept is basically an idea. Now, knowledge uh, is a belief. True and justified, of course, but a belief. Now, there is no belief involved in simply forming concept. Belief becomes, or it becomes belief when at least two concepts are there and some relationship is claimed. For example, when we say leaves are green, then we have two concepts, green, leaves, and we are uh, claiming that there is a relationship between these two concepts. So knowledge and concepts are different. Dearden is very careful on this. I do not know about Kamla. Dearden is very careful. He is talking of concepts. So we will talk first about Dearden's categorization. I see we will come to that later. So, you see what Dearden was trying to do at that time was, there was a claim that everything worthwhile in education could be learned through discovery method, and children can learn this on their own. Now, Dearden was saying that human knowledge involves three kinds of concepts, and knowledge is composed of concepts and relationships between concepts. So, no concepts, no knowledge. So, if you classify concepts in three for pedagogical purposes, he is not claiming that they are some sort of general universal categorization. He is defining these concepts particularly for pedagogical and teaching purposes. So if you can define or categorize human concepts into three categories, and then you work out logically which one of them could be worked out through discovery method and children can learn on their own, and which one just cannot be learned in that manner, that there is a logical impossibility involved. That's what he is trying to do. And in that context, he is saying that some concepts are based primarily on the perception, and they most easily could be formed, and human beings and children all the time form those concepts very easily. And I believe that all the concepts in the household, starting from bed to spoon to a glass and everything, they also have other side, by the way, practical side also. But various kinds of natural things could be formed in that manner. Now, some concepts are not defined by their perception alone. Social purpose of how that thing is used plays a major part in classing those things together. Most famous example which comes to my mind in educational discourse as well as usually is given by someone called Richard Scape. He says that at the first level the concept of chair might be made, not necessarily might be made on the basis of your perception as an object. But then later on, this is used for human beings sitting on that. Now it becomes a practical concept. This is more than just an object. This is an object with a social purpose. And now its perceptual or its shape doesn't remain important. There might be chairs which have four legs, there might be chairs which don't have four legs, but of this kind of thing. There might be chairs which are hanging from the roof. So now the chair has become a practical concept defined on the basis of what social purpose it plays. Now, this also up to a certain extent could be learned through discovery method and the child on her own without any direct intervention from someone who has this concept. There could be indirect intervention in social living. The third kind of concepts, he says, that are defined to explain the social or natural reality, and they may not be perceptual at all. They might be constructed to express some phenomena. So you might experience that phenomena, but you never experience or perceive that concept. For example, magnetism. So you do perceive some bit of matter, which you call iron, which is again a theoretical concept. You do perceive another bit of matter, which looks very similar, but has an additional property of attracting certain other bits of material to it. And you call this magnetism. Now this magnetism is never seen in the world. This magnetism is a defined concept. Wavelength of light is a defined concept. Even dance or Bharatanatyam is a theoretically defined concept. So he is saying that these theoretical concepts are impossible to arrive at automatically through discovery method. Why? Because they are historically invented. And they are invented in disciplines of inquiry, or they are invented, you can say, traditions of inquiry in a theoretical framework. Within that theoretical framework only they make sense. Therefore, someone who is already acquainted with that theoretical framework has to teach these concepts actively. Now, teaching doesn't mean telling. Teaching doesn't mean mugging up. Teaching might mean organizing their experiences in such a manner that the child arrives at these concepts in a guided manner. But the guidance would be necessary here. That's Dearden's claim. Personally, I feel that this is a very important distinction. This helps me as a teacher. What are the kinds of things which children can discover on their own, and what are the kinds of things which has to be introduced? I don't think there are many concepts in mathematics which could be discovered on their own, or if they, because most of them are theoretical and abstract, and if children discover, then they will take about 10,000 years. I don't think they have that much time. So it becomes that a major part of our knowledge is composed of theoretical concepts, and it becomes necessary to introduce in a guided manner. Sometimes people think that teaching simply means mugging up and direct telling. That is a matter of methodology. All that is Dearden is claiming, and people who think on these lines are claiming, is that some deliberate help from someone who already knows would be necessary to learn. Without that, this is impossible to learn in the given time. How to organize that help is a matter of procedure, pedagogy. One can pretend discovery method here. There is a possibility, and there might be benefits of that. Pretensions are not always useless in education and teaching. They sometimes are very useful.